Welcome back to Gems Podcast. With me today is Tara Nolan, and you know me, the host, Genesis Amaris Kemp. And here is a bit about Tara. So, Tara has spent 15 years in corporate management, top sales performance, and another decade as a world traveling yogini, leading transformation retreats. Tara combines her experience in corporate business, cultural awareness, yoga, and spiritual study to take a holistic approach to modern business. Tara guides high achievers to define success on their own terms, rising with ease and flow, not stress and struggle. She has become savvy as an online business strategist, assisting entrepreneurs to not only attract clients, but also implement automation. After traveling over 6 continents and 25 countries solo and navigating her path through loss, pain, abuse, love, career change, and single motherhood, Tara has found her gift in guiding others to step into their power and create their ideal life. And without further ado, we're going to unpack Are You Standing in Your Own Way with Tara Nolan today. Welcome, Tara.
Genesis, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Wow, you've done quite a bit. So let's start with the beginning and then we're going to work where you are now. And the reason why I want to do this approach, Tara, is because I don't want people to just see you where you are now. I want them to see your start ugly moments, maybe the struggles that you went through, and what led you to where you are now. Because sometimes people only start with where you are now and they forget how you had to go through different stuff in life to reach your level of success that you have currently. So are you ready to go deep diving with me?
I'm in.
Okay. So walk us through, okay, 15 years in corporate. Woo, that's a long time. I've done 15 years in corporate myself, but most of my experience came from oil and gas and energy, which is very draining and taxing whenever you have to get in where you fit in and play with the good old boys. So, what did your 15 years of corporate experience look like? And when did you find that you're like, you know what? This is not who I am. I'm more than this, and I could do something else.
Yeah, what happened, I waited till something happened. And I think that's what many of us do. I was following the path. I mean, first I was planning on going to law school. I had a pre-law degree and just never went to law school. I took the LSATs. I was, high above average. And I could have, I was looking at schools like, Berkeley and Pepperdine, amazing schools here in California. But I guess I didn't know then. I didn't have my voice. I didn't know then how to connect with that true voice within. So I just didn't take the actions. And I think already that's an example of some things that we do. We take actions one way or another, but we don't actually decide in our mind that that's the path. I was like, no, I'm going to law school. I'm on this path. But really I was not taking any further steps to do that once it got really close because I didn't want to do it deep down. So I moved to Colorado and I was a bartender and I was serving tables, and I then left and backpacked around Europe with my girlfriend from college. This was in my 20s, low 20s. And I partied and I just explored, I guess my youth. And I did have the foresight to get to, I was 24 and I thought I'm going to be 25 years old. And this is not going to be the life I want, at 45. And now here I am past the age of 45. And I made those changes. But when I did, then I took another turn and I came back from the West to Chicago and got into corporate. And I, fought hard to get ahead and was a hustler. And I worked hard and I liked my work a lot. And I had like something to prove in me. And some of us have that. It's like, why are we going for success? I didn't have to support a family. Of course I needed finances, but I didn't need a ton. I was a single girl. So I worked really hard to get ahead and I was working for something. And then I got promoted several times. I had companies fighting for me and I suffered the loss of a friend. And when he died suddenly on a motorcycle, and I rode motorcycles too, I still do sometimes. But when that happened, I just really recognized that life really can be short. It really could go tomorrow. And if it does, then we better make today matter. I thought, well, what am I doing with my life today? And I left. I left a multiple six-figure career with no plan for the future. And the company had heard this from me before. So they were like, well, what can we do to keep you here? And I said, this time there's nothing. There's no promotion. There's no raise. There's nothing that's going to change it. I just need something new. And I really wanted to see how other cultures, found their happiness and joy and success. I wanted a whole new way. So I left I left my relationship, I left the country, I left the career, and I started out in South America. And I had heard, good things about Argentina. And I started with Brazil and then Argentina, and I was studying yoga and cranial sacral on the beach, and sometimes going to a beautiful spa, and sometimes a little hut on the beach, like all different kinds of holistic remedies and therapies to kind of connect me with something I was searching for. But I didn't really know I was searching for something. I thought, I just want to take a break. And I was searching for something. And I can honestly say I found it. It was a year of traveling. And at the end, I ended up in a yoga teacher training in Bali, Indonesia. And I allowed myself to dream of a whole new life. And I started creating, I dreamt that I could travel the world and teach yoga. And my logical brain said, that's totally crazy. You are a businesswoman, you are working your way up, finances are important to you, and stability and security. But I let myself dream, and I realized there was a whole new life waiting for me. And then I spent 10 years or more traveling the world, hosting retreats and trainings and teaching yoga.
And I'm so glad that the experience that you went through led you to where you are now. And it's sad when you lose a loved one, um, because it feels like a piece of you goes with them, because depending on how the relationship was, you were connected. And I recently went through three major deaths, one with my dad in 2020,
Oh,
the day before Thanksgiving. And I felt like the wind was knocked out of me. Like I lost my best friend. I lost, my partner, even though, I am married, but my dad was just always there for me. I'm hands down a daddy's girl, but it taught me to look within, because I was so codependent on my dad that when he was no longer here, there were certain things that I needed to figure out for myself. And I like how you decided to walk away from multiple six figures, because not a lot of people would do that. And they would probably think that you're crazy. Why would you leave
yeah,
that job? You
totally.
have these benefits or whatnot. But then if you aren't whole and complete internally, then you're not going to show up that way externally, because a piece of you is not connected to that reality. It's like you're just going through the emotions. So then you begin to be like, oh, okay, I'm just existing versus living. But you see how your life came alive when you went down to South America. You talked about Brazil and Argentina. It sounds like you had that mindfulness, and you really connected with that inward part of who Tara is. And then it helped you on your journey. Would you agree or disagree with that statement, Tara?
Oh, completely. I think it's all about getting to know yourself and connecting with that voice within instead of quieting it down or avoiding it. And that's literally what I had to do. And I actually did it. So you have to allow yourself to. We talked about standing in your own way. And the minute you think to yourself, well, that's crazy and that's not possible, you just decided it's not possible, and it isn't. You just stopped that flow of energy to manifest from the universe to like say, oh, the thought went to no, I can't. So you can't. That's too crazy. That's too expensive. That's um, uh, too big. That's too big of a dream. That's, something's going to happen. And I like that part of my journey to share, because I can speak back and say, I actually did it. But then I had to reinvent myself again when I found myself expecting a child, a baby. And I was 40 years old, and I didn't know how to do that and live the life I was living. And I wasn't sure how long I would do it, if I would keep traveling. And it was a real wake up call, and it was scary.
And while you were going through the transition and the wake up call, did you ever ask yourself, Tara, what are those roadblocks that are in my way? And am I standing in my own way of really acquiring the lifestyle that I want on your terms? Did you take that time to just really just stop, slow down, and redefine and reinvent what your life was going to look like? Because everyone knows whenever a child comes along, that child, in most people's mind, should become your priority. But even though that child is a priority, you shouldn't lose a sense of who you are.
I agree 100%. I mean, I know that our children don't listen to what we tell them. They watch what we do, right? They don't learn to walk because we sit and talk to them about how to walk. They watch us walking. And it's the same thing with everything. So, did I want to be that burned out, stressed out, person that, corporate, and it's not every way. You can be in corporate and also have balance in your life. And that's also something you can choose. So that's where I was at. And I also stood in my way again when I thought, I can do this. It sounds empowering because I was like, I can do this. I can leave corporate and build a career in yoga and travel the world. And I'm going to make it, and I'm not going to worry about money anymore. I'm not going to be all obsessed in money. And guess what? I made it, and I traveled the world, and I had an amazing decade of seeing so many things, but I had made the decision that I would not worry about money as much. And I made enough money to make it, and I didn't get ahead. I had previously been getting ahead, and I made that decision. Like, how silly. Like, looking back now, I wish if I would have had the insight and the foresight now, like that I have now, like I would have said, I'm going to kill it in success and finances and work my way up, traveling the world and doing yoga and making seven figures or whatever your dream is, or what my dream was. But at the time, I just didn't want to care about it. Well, when you become a mother, a parent, typically, at least for me, I really wanted to care about my financial future like I had in the past. Like, that became very important to me, to provide the life for her and that I wanted, but I didn't want to do it as someone that was stressed out and didn't have time for her. So I reinvented myself yet again, and now I have this business transformation, business and life coaching, the
And as
transformation Tara.
and as you went through the reinventing in this season, because you're 40, you're expecting, and your daughter is going to be very present in your world, and you have to change some things. What did you do to really get that clarity? And what did that look like? Because you talked about clarity helps you find a way to ultimately go and navigate that roadmap. But what about if somebody is listening and they're like, what is my roadmap? Because they're so depending on external factors, whether
Right.
it's their family or peer
Yeah.
pressure, that other people's roadmap becomes their coordinates. But you have to take that power back and navigate your own roadmap by knowing, what are my coordinates and what's that destination that I want to end up at, not what the world wants me to end up, but me.
Um, Absolutely. And you seem like someone who wants to go deep and hear it all. So I will tell you, you asked what it looked like. It looked like me crying on the floor of my Northwoods cabin in Wisconsin. It looked like, it looked like a mound of debt piling up in credit card debt. I had never had a dollar of debt in my life. And I had previously made, great money where I just never even had to think about money. I had more than enough. And here I was at a different place yet again. And I was a mother. And at this time she was about one or two. And I was going to go back to corporate, and it was killing me inside because I knew I wouldn't have the time and space for it. And I wouldn't be following my truth and doing the work that I need to do in the world. But I felt desperate, and I felt like everyone in my life was kind of against me. Everyone in my life was like, my parents, and even though I'm this age, our parents are still involved in our lives in that way. You have to do this, you have to, and there was judgment all over the place. And it was really hard, but the only way I made it was really connecting with my heart and choosing there has to be another way. I didn't know what it was, but I said it again and again, there has to be another way, and I'm going to find it. I started listening to a podcast. It was the Successful Single Mom something gets rich or something, or a single mom gets success. I don't know. So I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to find something. And honestly, I hired a coach, and I was scared, and I didn't have the money, and I put it on a credit card with the last of the credit card. And it was one of the best things I ever did, because within 2 months, I started seeing a huge financial return. And I'll remember my first client, I just cried, because I thought, it wasn't just the money, and it wasn't just the client. It was that I knew that God was supporting me, or the universe was supporting me, whatever words you like to use. But I was being supported on the path that I was supposed to be in. And I knew that that was real. And I knew it was where I was supposed to be. It meant everything to me.
And I love that. And the reason why I wanted to go deep with you there, Tara, is because I feel like people need to hear that realness and know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to hit rock bottom. But what's not okay is for you to stay at rock bottom, for you to allow your circumstance to define you, or for you to allow your family to determine where you're destined to go, because people are going to talk all day long. People are going to say things,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you control what you do is really what's going to help you level up. Because I got laid off from a Fortune 500 company, and they're like, oh, you have a degree, why can't you just go back to work? Why are you doing this podcast? Are you getting paid? But I'm like, you don't understand where I am right now mentally. And it's not for me to make you understand. It's for me to go on this personal journey. And no one can walk the journey of life with you in order for you to just really solidify who you are. And you have to really stop allowing other people to depict what your morals, your values, and what your characteristics are. Because in turn, are you just going to fall on them whenever they need you? Are they going to be there? No. You have to pick yourself up and keep on going. And that's whenever you realize that life is a hell of a ride, that I like to call a roller coaster. But then it teaches you about how to have grit. It teaches you how to be resilient. It teaches you to love yourself, and it teaches you to stop putting so much control in other people who were never meant to be with you on a lifelong journey, in my opinion. And each one of us is going to go through this, our own battle, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, but it's life. But what you gain from those experiences is what's going to help you with your success, in my opinion. And I think that helps you understand, are you standing in your own way?
Well, I think that I love what you said. The only thing I'd say for me that was a little different is these were people that I think they were meant to be with me on my life's journey. I think and I'm a believer in many lives. So I think some of them, like my father, and that, they've been with me for many lifetimes and probably will be again. And I know that the people that seem like they're the most against you, they just love you. They just don't understand. But and what you said that I totally am in alignment with is that this is your soul's journey, and you can't judge and know what's right for someone else just like they can't for you. There's no way that they know in your heart, what your heart is yearning for, what your deep, soul-based desires are. Like that, no one else can possibly know that. This is your soul's journey, so you can only align with your truth. And really stop listening to the voices of others, and even drown out the voices in your head, so you can listen to your heart and your soul.
I like that addition, and it really solidifies one of your other statements about removing roadblocks. And Tara, if no one else grasps anything that we talked about, what are two gems that you want them to walk away with to really help them, find that clarity, remove those roadblocks, and really start living life on their terms?
So allow yourself to dream, about what is possible for you, and notice, be the witness of your own mind, your own thoughts, and your own words. And notice every time you stop yourself. I can't have that relationship. I can't get that guy or girl. I can't get that career. I could never do this. Because then you go for something a little bit less than what you actually desire and deserve. Don't die. Wayne Dyer said this. I love it. Don't die with the dream inside of you.
So profound. And I'll add, do you want your dreams to end up in the graveyard because you
Mm.
were too small minded to action them here on earth? Think about that. Think about all the, people who died with their dreams inside of them. And Tara, what is your call to action? And the last thing after your call to action, I want you to tell the listeners as well as the viewers how they could connect with you on social media and plug your website.
Thank you so much. Well, the biggest message with this is to ask yourself, how long are you going to wait? How long are you going to wait to start pursuing your dreams and take some kind of action step? What age are you going to be then? So I have an action step that you can take now. I have a transformation day where you get a lot of what's in my program all in one 5-hour day. It is jam-packed and it is 5 hours and it's powerful. So if you don't have a lot of time, you make the time for this and it will make a difference for you. So because you're part of this podcast, we're actually going to give you a specific code that it's going to be GEN 100. And with that, you will receive $100 off just because you listened and you're here. And join me for that transformation day. Other than that, you can find me on transformation.terra on Instagram or Transformation Terra on Facebook. So Transformation Terra Nolan, if you're looking for Tara Nolan, and transformationterra.com. Now you got them. There's the website. So yes.
And there you have it, listeners and viewers of GEMS Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Genesis Amaris Kemp, and you just heard Tara Nolan. All of her contact information will be in the show notes, so there's no excuse for you not to connect with her. And until we chat next time, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Can be found on all major platforms, and follow us on YouTube at GEMS with Genesis Amaris Kemp for all video content. Remember, you are an asset, not a liability. Your destiny is brighter. Your past does not depict your future, and you have an opportunity today. So seize all the opportunities and stop living in what happened yesterday. You can't go back and rewrite yesterday, but you can create today and build forward. So until we chat next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing day.